Cherry Hill, New Jersey's finest. That's how I like to start the intro here. He's
I
got the
love
whole
that.
crew today. The general
love that.
manager of the Kansas City Royals, who's moving and shaking all offseason long. JJ Piccolo joining us right now on FT Live for the first time. JJ, great to have you on. You got a couple Jersey guys here with you. How you doing?
Yeah, I noticed that when I got the email. I felt like I was going back home. What's up, guys?
We got your fresh pie waiting for you, and a little antipasta if you're ready to go. So you tell me.
I'm ready, man.
I love it.
Good stuff.
Hey, JJ, let's just get right to it. You guys have been super active so far this offseason. Why did you guys decide to be, more active than you have been in the past couple seasons? And can you give us a breakdown on some of the signings that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty simple for us. We went through the whole year. We evaluated what we thought we had. We weren't happy with our results at the end of the season. I've said this a lot. I don't think we were a 106 loss team, but we lost 106 games. But we've got a good nucleus of some players like Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia, and there's others. Then there's some guys on our pitching staff that are going to continue to get better, but we need to jumpstart it. This window right now is only going to be open for so long. There were free agents that we really liked from a starting pitching perspective. Also, from the bullpen, we need to address the bullpen. And then we need to add a bat or two. So, we were pretty aggressive right from the get-go, and we're pretty happy with where we're at least at this point in the offseason.
That's a good segue. What I want to talk to you about, at least to where you're at. I mean, you signed really some veteran guys here that have been around the block. Was that like the first and foremost? Did you want to sign guys that had a little more experience? And are you guys still looking to sign more guys as you're going forward here?
Yeah, that was definitely an objective because, I don't know what our average age was, but we were one of the younger teams in the league. We have Salvador Perez, Jordan Lyles. We had Zack Greinke last year. But outside of that, we had a lot of guys that were in their second and third years in the major leagues and a lot of guys that made their debuts. So, even though we like a lot of our players, we felt like when you add guys who've been in the playoffs, I think 3 of the guys have won World Series. All 8 guys we've added have been in the playoffs. It should be a good mix. And you just think about what these players have gone through their careers, getting to free agency. They're going to add a lot to that clubhouse, and we're going to mature a lot faster had we not made the move. So they were the type of guys that when you talk to them, all they talk about is winning. They're past the point in their career where they're worried about if they're a major leaguer or not. They know they are, and they want to win. So it was a good week.
So does some of these moves, your window of winning, you kind of mentioned your window of winning, is it kind of precipitated by the fact that Bobby Witt Jr. is not locked up for long term? Or is it a case that you sit there as a GM, VP of Executive Operations of Excitement in Kansas City, and you say, hey, Bobby, we want to do this extension. Well, we don't have anything that's going. Okay, we're going to sign this. We have this. Hey, Bobby, do you want an extension? Or are these precipitated by, or are these like precursors to the fact that he hasn't signed an extension?
Yeah, I think what Bobby and other players want to see is that we want to win. You were here, Kratzy, when we had things going pretty well. It's an exciting place to play. But when you're trying to extend guys, they need to see a commitment. And our owner, John Sherman, and his entire ownership group have been outstanding through this whole process. They're very supportive of the decisions. They're excited about what we're doing. Hopefully it's a precursor to things we can do in the future. But, we're going to be focused. Bobby, we like him a lot. There's other players we like a lot. But when players see that we're willing to do some things and shake things up and make some commitments, hopefully that opportunity to sign Bobby long-term becomes a reality.
JJ, does any of this have to do with the new stadium proposal that we keep hearing about for the Royals, bringing in more veteran guys, bringing in a higher payroll, showing the people of Kansas City that you will spend given the opportunity?
I've been asked that question a lot, but honestly, AJ, it's not. I mean, when we sat down at the end of the season, John Sherman was really clear that he wants a more competitive team, and we talked about the avenues to get more competitive, and free agency was one of them. So it's really completely separate from the stadium. I really steer clear of that. That's not my expertise at all. I just want to get good players and surround the current players we have with guys that can win. So, as I've answered that question a couple times this week, they're two separate things that we're dealing with.
JJ, how nice is that phone call, by the way? The owner calls you and says, "Oh, by the way, payroll restrictions are off. Here's $50 million. Go outspend the Red Sox, the Yankees, and all these Mets combined. Go get some players." "Oh, great, Mr. Owner. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. I'm on the phone now to every agent." Click.
Yeah, no, he's been awesome. I mean, we knew we had some money to play with. We had about 30 million came off the books from last season, so you sort of assume we can spend 30. But when we got to the finish line, and it was really one more starting pitcher that we needed. When we got to the finish line, it was really just a simple conversation with John, and said, we have options. We can trade some players, try to get another starter, or we can keep our lineup intact and go get a free agent that we know is a proven winner. And it was a short conversation. He said, "Go ahead and do it. Let's get it done." So that was exciting. That was very exciting.
So JJ, I'll ask about the past and the future. So Ken Rosenthal, who I trust more than any other insider, said that you guys had offers to Sonny Gray and Eric Fetty. Did you play for guys like that now that that process is done and they signed? And is there anything else that you're looking to do this offseason?
Yeah, well, sometimes I think Ken is in our war room somehow because he gets all the information. But what I've realized over the last, say, 48, 72 hours is we have 50-some days until pitchers and catchers report. We're certainly not packing our bags and getting ready to go to Surprise, Arizona right now. It gives us a chance to step back, evaluate where the team is, evaluate where the organization is. Our minor league system is always going to be vital in any success we have in the major leagues, but we have the opportunity now to look to improve this team on the margins, to try to finish it off. If it happens or not, I really don't know. I hope we can do a few more things, but also we can eye up ways to acquire some prospects now that the 24 team looks like it's fairly settled. So we're not packing our bags and shutting it down for the winter. We're going to keep pushing.
How much does being in the division you're in help you out? Because let's be honest, listen, as a former White Sox player and a White Sox fan, the division isn't very good. So how much does that help you out? Especially like you said, your owner calls you, says, "Hey, you got some money. You can change the future quickly with the right moves."
Yeah, I think because of some of like a Bobby Witt Jr., it gives you reason to be optimistic. We think we got a superstar in our hands. And then you just sort of evaluate. I don't know exactly what the other teams are going to do, but it seems like there's some teams in transition. We've gone through the transition for 2 years, and now it's time to push forward. So the timeline of Bobby being in his third year next year and Vinny and others, it matched up with where our division is and gave us more reason or more motivation to push right now and try to make a run at it.
So has Chris Getz called you about Salvador Perez yet? Because he seemed to get every other Royals guy for the White Sox. So the rumor for a long time was they want Salvador Perez. So is he next to go to the White Sox?
No, we're going to keep Salvi. Salvi's ecstatic right now. He called me over the weekend, and he was so happy because, he's at a point in his career where he knows he doesn't know how many more years he's going to play, but he wants to win. He's got 10-5 rights, and we've had great conversations about where the team is. But at the end of the year, I couldn't look him in the eyes and say, "Hey, we're going to compete for the Central next year." So after these moves, he's excited and he's motivated. So I haven't heard from Getsy, and I doubt I will. As much as I like Getsy, I don't think he's going to call on that one.
Hey, how do you sell a guy like Bobby Witt to stay here in Kansas City with you guys, considering these big market teams out there as well that have bigger budgets? How do you sell a guy like that?
Well, it's going to be challenging. There's no doubt. But Bobby lives in Texas. It's a short flight for his family to get up here to see him play. He really has embraced the city. He loves playing here. I think the city fits his personality. He knows how much everybody loves coming to watch him play. So I think it's sort of selling itself right now. And then you just deal with the realities of baseball. He's going to have opportunity without question. But if we can get to a number that he's comfortable with, I don't think he has any doubt about staying in Kansas City. He loves it here. He's friends with Patrick Mahomes. He sees what Mahomes does for our city from a football perspective. So why not be the baseball end of that combination?
All right, earlier in the show, we were talking about ARB, and we were talking about going through arbitration and what a crappy, just terrible situation that is. Are you in those meetings, and do you fear that with Bobby Witt, like the stuff he's done historical things here in his first few years, you guys are going to have to go in and tell this young man who is essentially going to lead your team to another World Series, hey, you know what? You did this pretty terrible, and you did this pretty terrible. And then the next day come to him and go, hey, Bobby, what's going on? Like a nice JJ Piccolo hug.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something you want to avoid. There's no doubt about it. It's not a system I think anybody likes. I don't think the players like it. I can just speak from our team perspective. The Kansas City Royals don't like it. We've been one of the more successful teams, I think, in staying out of hearings. We've gone into a couple of the last two or 3 years, but over the course of time, we've not gone to hearings all that often, just because we have to sell who we are. We have to sell culture. We have to sell, the team concept, and anything that takes a chink out of that is harmful to a small market. So we try to avoid it at all costs, and that's part of the motivation as well of trying to get an extension.
What's the alternative? You're in these offices, you're in these meetings, you're in, the front office meetings, and players are doing it with their agents and the Players Association. What's an alternative? What's a positive alternative that can be good for the game? Because Bobby Witt in Kansas City, to me, is really good for the game.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to know how to structure that thing, but you'd like to see some sort of sliding scale based on performance that slots guys into certain numbers, and those numbers have to be acceptable to the PA without question. But to avoid an arbitration hearing, I think it's worthwhile for our game to explore those opportunities, and I believe those types of discussions have been had. We just haven't arrived at a conclusion or come to an answer that satisfies both parties. So I hope we keep working hard at it, because it's one part of the game that nobody likes.
Hey, JJ, we got the news basically as we brought you on publicly. A lot of us knew about this already, but the MLB competition committee came out with changes. They're not huge, but some changes for the 2024 season. 18-second clock with runners on, down from 20. 4 mound visits, down from 5. If a pitcher starts to warm up before an inning, he must face at least one hitter, and the runner's lane to first has been widened to the infield grass. So my 2 questions are your thoughts on any of these, and also how much of a heads up do you get on these changes? These ones in particular don't necessarily affect much of what you'd be doing with your off-season moves, but still curious if this goes back to, say, the GM meetings.
It does. During the GM meetings, there's a breakout session. There's 5 clubs in one room across 6 different rooms, and MLB presents what the proposals are. We have an open discussion about them, take them back to a large, big room with all 30 clubs in, and I don't think anything was too controversial in this year's proposals, so everybody was comfortable with it. The clock, knocking off 2 seconds, I think there's an argument to be made that maybe that's not necessary, but players adapted really well to it. The fans like the pace of game. I think players like the pace of game. So, it wasn't that big a deal. The one thought I had on the runner's lane, you like that to be a reviewable play, but you're not going to get everything you want. But I think they were minor, and there won't be too many side effects of those rules and too many complaints.
Hey, the runner's lane intrigues me as a former catcher, because every stadium's lanes are cut different, right? The lines are cut different. Some stadiums, the line is right on the edge of the grass. Some there's like a foot. It's different. Are they going to make that universal for every stadium? Because otherwise, if I'm a team and I have a bunch of right-handed fast guys that want to bunt, I could just cut that lane way wider and they could run way more inside. So is MLB going to make that a universal width?
My understanding is there will be a minimum width to that lane, so it could be wider, I think, more to the foul side. So my understanding between the grass and the foul line, I hope I'm right on this, but that's going to be standard, because that was discussed in those GM meetings, and I didn't see anything that changed that proposal. But to your point, AJ, that's what they want. They want consistency with what that lane looks like.
Dumbest rule in the game, by the way. One of the dumbest rules they ever
Yeah.
came up with. Dumbest rule.
Yeah.
One of the dumbest
lasted
rules.
for a long ass
One of the
time.
dumbest rules they ever came up with. Because a right-handed hitter has to run inside. I mean, unless they're going to make a big, and the base is in fair territory. It's stupid.
It's confusing for sure, and that's why I brought up the replay, because I feel like when we watch it on replay, you can see the intent of the runner. So maybe one day that'll get in there.
That's interesting. I want to ask you a question about getting guys we talked about it during like the Christmas time through New Year's and that kind of stuff. Have you ever signed a guy during that time period, or is that just like an unwritten rule where it's just like we try not to sign guys around that?
Oh, you know what? This year, Thanksgiving, we had something going on Wednesday, and I thought maybe Thursday we do it. And, I said to my wife, I might be on the phone tomorrow. Who knows? It fell apart Wednesday night. I think it would be sort of a weird badge of honor to do it, but I think for the most part, people like to take Thanksgiving and Christmas at least a day, 2 days out of the year, and put the phones down and get back to work the day after that. But I've never done it. To answer your question,
Okay.
I've never done it.
Well, JJ, I would say this offseason has been moving a bit slowly. We're having fun. We have plenty to talk about. But, I mean, many of the top free agents are still on the board, at least half, depending on how you rank them. And I think it's fair to say that Yamamoto is the big prize right now. And there are many other teams that haven't done much that are then going to go to options B and C. Do you think that there will be many people behind the scenes who usually get a little bit of a break between Christmas and New Year's who will have to say sorry to their family and friends? I've got to work a lot more because let's say Yamamoto signs this weekend and then all of a sudden, it kind of opens up Pandora's box.
Yeah, I think so. With every domino that falls, the urgency to get something done is greater. So, if Yamamoto signs on Tuesday, I would expect the rest of the week to really pick up. People will be working. I don't doubt that at all. I think our nature is not to sit still anyway. So there's only so much sitting around you can do. But look, it's a competitive business, and you don't want to miss out on opportunities. So if it's December 26th, teams aren't going to be afraid to do business. So I do think it'll pick up.
All right, JJ, I was told not to ask yes or no questions, but this is a yes or no question, and I just need a yes or no. Did you make an offer to Shohei Otani?
No.
But we went up and down with his head.
Thank you. He said
I'd like to tell you we came in second, but
okay, that's fair.
Hey, for $2 million a year, you would have signed him?
No. That's my question. This is my question. Would you have signed him for $1 a year for 700 million years?
I'll defer to my owner. How's that?
Okay, that's fair. But what do you think about how his contract was structured and how all that went down? And is it good for the game?
Yeah, it's complicated. On the surface, initially, I thought, it's not good for the game. But then when you think about the dollars that are attached to that deal, it's difficult to get to that money. So you're going to have to be creative. Because we weren't involved in it at all, you look back on it and you try to think for the Dodgers and the other teams that were in on it. They spent a lot of time on it to try to make it work. So I give them a lot of credit. He's an unbelievable talent. Just talking to Hunter Renfroe this week, how good is Otani? What type of teammate? He raved about him. So he's clearly one of, if not the most elite guys in the game. And teams had to get creative to make it work, so I give him credit.
JJ, he's already signed. You can admit to us that the Royals were in. He flew into Kansas City. You took him to, Stack 39 for some barbecue. Maybe, Lydia's, the Italian place?
Lydia's, Lydia's
he's already signed. You can tell us what really happened with Otani.
Yeah, no, I wish I had better news for you. We were focused on other things.
Okay, that's fair. Greinke, what about Zack Greinke? He's come out and said he wants to pitch again. I know he was a Royal last year. He came up as a Royal, won a Cy Young as a Royal. Any chance? I know it's going to be hard. So this is a yes or no question. Will Zack Greinke pitch for the Royals next year?
Ooh, that's a tougher yes/no question. That's a tougher one. Look, I know I'm not supposed to comment on free agents, but we love Zack Greinke. I was so happy that we were able to get him back here the last 2 years. He was a shot in the arm for us, just the way he goes about his business. we'll see where the offseason goes. If we're going to continue to be active, there may be opportunity for him to come back that doesn't exist today, but it may change. We have basically 2 months, and really, you count spring training, we have over 3 months till opening day. So we're going to leave all options open.
You said something there that I'm like, I guess you hear that, but to hear it from you, like, why can't you comment on a free agent? Is that an organizational thing? Is there an MLB rules?
Yeah.
How's that work?
That's MLB. MLB rules. We're not allowed to comment on pending free agents or current free agents.
Why?
So, I wish I knew why. I think it's just from a competitive standpoint, people trying to leverage things. So MLB wants to control it. So we have to keep those things private.
I'll jump in just for a second. Sorry, Todd, just on this. Well, unless you got something on this.
No. I have a yes or no question too. I haven't get to mine yet.
Well, I'm just going to help add context if I can, JJ, because I worked for the league. So I think if you have people commenting about players too much, they could give away their interest or non-interest in a player, and that could affect the player's market. That's how it was explained to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's I think that's dead on. And again, I don't make the rules; I just play by them. And we're reminded every year not to comment on free agents. So I'd rather not get a call from the commissioner's office.
Fair. Keep them out of trouble. What's your question, Todd? What do you got?
All right. So, how long were you in Jersey for? Is my first question.
So I lived in Philadelphia, middle school, moved to New Jersey, went to Cherry Hill West. We used to beat up on Tom's River South.
No, that's bullshit, man.
Yeah, no, we did. We did.
Yes, JJ, I love it.
Wait. What year was this? What year?
This is my senior year was 1989. So I was a little bit before you.
Yeah,
but we had some good teams.
That's fine. So you were the purple Cougars, right?
Yeah, we were the Purple Lions. East was the Cougars.
All right, so I got them mixed up. I was just making sure.
Yeah.
That's what happened. He got me flustered. That's okay.
We used to play that Saturday all day inter squad with you guys.
Yep. Do you remember the field? How it had the school in right field? You had it over the school.
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
Stuff. So my question is kind of Jersey related. So I'm putting you on the spot here. So if people in Kansas City see this, don't get mad at me. Who has better food, New Jersey or is it Kansas? Is it Missouri or is it?
Well, both.
I'm not going to give you
both, really.
Both.
Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas. You're right on state line. I'll say this: the barbecue for sure is better here, but when you're talking about Italian food and cheesesteaks and sandwiches and strombolis, it's hard. You're hard pressed to find that in Kansas City.
Awesome. That's all. That's all I got.
Yeah. JJ, I've got one more.
Kansas City's sneaky good for food now.
No doubt.
Kansas City's
it's a food town.
Sneaky good if you know where to go.
It's a food town, no doubt.
It's excellent.
All right, so last one for me, JJ. So from a GM's perspective, obviously sometimes you have to make tough phone calls to let someone go or tell them that they've been traded. Do you have any go-to lines, or how do you deal with the psychology of that? Maybe calling a player, telling him he's optioned, or even calling, say, a coach and telling him that the team has to let him go.
Yeah, you know what? Every case is a little bit different, but I've just found the best way to go is just be honest. Be transparent with the player. It's bad news, no matter how it's delivered. It's bad news. Now trade's a little different. Trade means somebody else wanted you, but when we option somebody down, there's no good way to put it. You just try to explain the situation, be upfront, listen to the player, let him vent, and hopefully, because more often than not, that player's coming back up at some point, so you got to keep him going. So I just found transparency and honesty is the best way to go.
I like that. Well, we respect what you do. Thanks for coming on here. Hope you had a good time with this crew and enjoy the rest of your offseason. Keep hustling. We like what you guys have going on there.
All right, guys. Thank you, and happy holidays to you all.